Up in the north of Mexico, there once was a small village that, with time, vanished. There, in a cracked adobe house with a roof sagging under the years, lived Don Julián and his son, Mateo. Mateo's mother had died from a grave illness years before. Since then, Don Julián, a man of few words and weary eyes, had raised his son with a rough tenderness, cooking for him, heating water, caring for him as if hope still lingered. But Mateo never knew what to do with that love. He didn't work, didn't help, didn't hunt, didn't sew, not even sweep. At 18 years old, he still slept until 9, 10, sometimes noon. Don Julián, despite the love he held, began to feel something deeper: frustration. One morning, he made a hard decision. The rooster had crowed long before dawn, but Mateo still lay sprawled like an old rag on his mat. Outside, his father had already warmed coffee on the fire, watered the donkey, and gathered the hen's eggs. At 9:15, Don Julián pushed open the door with the tip of his boot. "Have you made anything to eat?" he asked, not with anger, but with a tone that carried weight. Too much work, Papa," Mateo mumbled without opening his eyes. The silence that followed was long, hard. Don Julián stared at his son as if seeing him for the first time. Then he walked out to the corral. When he returned, he carried a rope, a blanket, and a small sack of provisions. "Up there on the mountain, there's your grandfather's old cabin. You'll live there." Mateo sat up, irritated, confused. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying take the Eve and the ram and go. If you don't want to get up here, then get up there. Make your life, son. But this house is no longer yours." "No, Papa," Mateo shouted, his eyes wide open for the first time in weeks. But Don Julián didn't argue. He packed the sack with salt, 2 hard tortillas, half a block of cheese, a handful of beans, matches, and a knife. "You leave today," he said, without looking at him. "I won't let another day pass like this. I don't want to bury you alive." Mateo froze. His pride burned, but his throat locked tight. "And if I don't go, then tomorrow I won't open this door for you. My heart can't bear this sorrow anymore." No tears, no insults, only a decision, firm as stone. Mateo stormed out of the house, not knowing what he was running from. He slung the sack over his shoulder, tied the sheep with a rope, and climbed the dusty mountain path. He didn't look back. The climb was long. Dry hills, loose stones, shadows only the vultures knew. When he reached the cabin, he found 4 crooked walls, a palm leaf roof full of holes, and a door that opened with the wind. "Damn, old man," he muttered as he pushed inside. There was a broken clay pot, a wooden cot, and dust. So much dust. Cobwebs hung like forgotten curtains. Outside, the sheep bleated softly, as if they too knew they'd been cast out. Mateo chewed a cold tortilla, lay on the cot, and stared at the ceiling where the moon peeked through a crack. He thought of his father's face, his mother's voice, and sleep came with bitterness. That night he dreamed of his mother. She embraced him and whispered, "It's time. Time to learn, to move, to stop sleeping through life." The first days were hard. Hunger awoke him. The sack of provisions quickly dwindled. Tortillas hard as stone, a bit of dry cheese, water from a clay jug. One afternoon he heard desperate bleating. He ran outside. The ram was thrashing, a wolf on its back, another circling. "Hey, get off!" he shouted, grabbing a stick. He swung with all his strength. The wolves snarled, retreated, then fled, leaving saliva and blood on the ground. The ram lay wounded, breathing weakly. Its eyes met his, silent, resigned. Mateo held a knife. For a moment, he thought of killing it, cooking the meat, surviving. It was logical. Then he thought, if I eat this one, then the other. What's left? What do I kill next? He dropped the knife, cleaned the wounds with an old rag, and whispered, "Don't die. Please don't die." That night, he built a makeshift corral from sticks and rope. He didn't eat. Hunger closed his stomach. He only drank water and thought of his father's traps from years ago, lessons he had once mocked. The next day, he tried one. He built it clumsily, baited it with his last tortilla. Hours later, the tortilla was gone, but nothing was caught. "Damn it," he shouted, kicking the ground. But he didn't give up. He tried again, improving the knots, sharpening the sticks. By the second night, he caught a trembling hare. This time, he didn't hesitate. He slaughtered it, salted it, roasted it, and ate, like someone who understood that life is never given, it must be earned. That night, he dreamed of Don Julián saying, "See, you can." Days turned into weeks. Mateo learned. He trapped more hares, even a deer. He salted the meat, cured skins, saved what he could. Then came an idea. What if I sell them? He packed his goods, walked down to the next town, and timidly showed them. "Who'll buy fresh hare?" he asked in the plaza. At first, people stared. Then one man came, then another. Soon, Mateo returned with salt, corn, and a new knife. The villagers whispered, "That's Don Julián's son, the one who left." He no longer walked in shame. He walked in pride. But one night, the wolves returned. 3 this time, maybe 4. They tore through the corral. By dawn, only bones and blood remained. Mateo stood silently, staring at the ground. His voice broke into the wind. "Now I am truly alone."
Yet he didn't collapse. Hunger had taught him. Wolves had hardened him. He built stronger traps, learned to read tracks, to move silently. In a week, he had more hares, then another deer. He sold more, earned more, and with it bought a sturdy white donkey, proper boots, a warm jacket, and a straw hat that shone in the sun. He wasn't rich, but he had dignity. One evening, sitting by the fire, he whispered, "Thank you, old man. Thank you for casting me out." And he knew it was time to return. Not to ask for anything, not to beg, but to close the circle. He packed dried meat, beans, tortillas, cheese. With his donkey carrying the load, he walked down the same mountain path he had once climbed in anger. This time, he descended with respect. At the village, he knocked on the old wooden door. Silence. Then a weary voice from inside. "Who's there?" "It's me." Pause. Then, trembling, "Come in, son." Inside, Don Julián lay in bed, his legs splintered with old wood and cloth, pale and weak. "What happened?" Mateo asked, dropping his sack. "The woodpile. I fell. No one's been by. But I have food, don't worry." Mateo knelt beside him. For the first time, he looked at his father not with resentment, but with respect. "Thank you, Papa. Thank you for sending me away." Don Julián frowned, confused. "Because up there, I learned hunger without tears. I learned to hunt, to work, to survive. You saved me, even when it hurt." For the first time in years, the old man's voice trembled. They embraced. No words were needed. Mateo stayed for weeks, maybe months. He hunted in the mornings, cooked at night, helped his father heal. They spoke little, but enough. 2 men who finally understood each other. When Don Julián asked one evening, "What will you do now?"
Mateo answered, "Keep living. Not just for me, for us." And so he did. He was never lazy again. Sometimes, the harshest act of love is letting someone go. Many confuse affection with overprotection, thinking love means solving every problem, bearing every burden, never demanding change. But that isn't love, it's fear. Fear of watching someone suffer, fear they'll be lost, fear they won't forgive you. True love sometimes means saying, "No more." Because carrying someone forever only buries their spirit deeper. Mateo had to lose everything to find himself. He had to face hunger, wolves, and loneliness, to understand that life without effort isn't life. It's a slow death. Pain woke him. Solitude tempered him. And when he was ready, he returned. Not as the son who was cast out, but as the man who had finally learned to live. Because not all who leave you do so out of hate. Sometimes, the one who lets you go is the one who most wants you to rise. And when you do, when you learn to stand with dignity, you finally understand. That abandonment was the beginning of your freedom.